Chapter 12. The Forest Fort and the General with Six Faces. Run! Else screamed, stumbling through the underbrush as branches clawed at her arms like desperate hands. Johannes didn't look back. Not at the thing that chased them, the one with too many limbs and no eyes. Nor at the smoldering trail it left in the once-living forest. Only Bastien had the presence of mind to snatch up the torn manuscript pages that had flown loose like panicked birds. Whatever they had invoked last night, it hadn't stopped coming. Boom, boom, boom. The sounds weren't footsteps. They were more like announcements, as if the forest was being told to get out of the way. Left! Shouted Bastien. They broke through a thicket and found themselves in a clearing and froze. Not because it was safe, because there was a fortress being built out of air. Massive towers of shimmering golden light shaped like conch shells and battle drums rose between ancient banyans. Elephant-headed statues blinked to life and took position at the gates. Warriors in shining armor walked backward through time, literally, resetting the land into war terrain. And at the center of it all, upon a peacock the size of a truck, stood a boy, no older than 16, or maybe thousands of years old. He was shirtless, golden-skinned, adorned with weapons and garlands. His 6 heads whispered different commands simultaneously to ghostly soldiers who marched into being from swirls of smoke. His 12 arms moved in graceful, impossible synchrony. He was handsome, terrifyingly so. Not like a movie star, more like a blade that smiled at you before slicing. Hello? Else called out, raising her hand. One of his heads looked down, another tilted curiously, and a third whispered something to a shimmering advisor nearby. Then all 6 heads looked directly at the group, and all 12 arms stopped mid-gesture. The boy blinked, then grinned. You're not Rakshasas. What a relief. I was starting to think the forest only bred ugly things. The peacock let out a regal shriek as if offended on behalf of the demons. Hi, I'm Johannes, and we're lost, running, terrified. Yes, I see it in your sweat, said the boy cheerfully. Let me guess. You read something you weren't supposed to? Opened a chant half finished? Bastien blinked. How did you know? The boy pointed to one of his faces. This one sees everything, and that one, he motioned to the other, thinks it's hilarious. He dismounted the peacock, flipping through the air and landing softly like a petal hitting the ground. I'm Skanda, Kartikeya, Murugan, Shanmuka, son of Shiva, general of the Deva army, and currently, the only one here who knows what the hell he's doing. There was a pause. Johannes opened his mouth, closed it, then said what they were all thinking. You're a child! Muruga gave a mock gasp, slapping a palm to one of his 6 cheeks. Oh no! You found me out! Quick! Someone fetch me a chariot with training wheels! The peacock snorted in laughter. Or maybe that was Bastien. You don't look like a general, Else said. Muruga leaned in with a grin. You don't look like invokers of an interrealm annihilation chant, yet here we are! A horn blew from the eastern tree line. Muruga stood tall, all humor dropped. His weapons floated to his side, the Vel spear blazing in light, 6 bows materializing across his arms, and a chariot forming beneath his feet. The earth rumbled. Right, he said. Lecture time is over. And then the forest erupted. The Battle of the Ashen Grove. A wave of asuras surged from the tree line, some walking, some slithering, some oozing. Their mouths chanted backwards and their eyes bled shadow. One of them had antlers made of burning crows. Another split its ribcage like wings and flew with no sound. The air split with demonic war cries. Muruga rolled his neck. Children, he said with casual malice, let's teach them how not to trespass. And suddenly, the clearing turned into a symphony of war. Muruga's peacock let out a scream and launched skyward, feathers raining down like golden arrows. Muruga leapt, his 6 faces each commanding legions. One face barked orders in Tamil. One sang war poetry in Sanskrit. One wept for the Asuras, even as he destroyed them. One laughed with childlike joy. One glowed with rage. And one whispered something older. His Vel spear spun through the air, slicing through one demon and pinning another to a tree that screamed and burned. With his 3rd arm, he loosed fire arrows that bent midair, curving behind trees to strike hidden foes. The forest was a drumbeat. Muruga was the rhythm. Else and Johannes dived behind a pile of glowing shields as an Asura leapt at them, only to be vaporized midair by a whip of silver light. Who are these people? Else shouted over the chaos. I don't know, but I want one of those peacocks. Bastian yelled back. They turned and saw something that stopped their breath. An Ashura giant, 30 feet tall, stepped out from a cloud of ink. Its face was stitched shut with fire. It roared without sound. It carried a warhammer made of frozen screams. Maruga's peacock circled once. Maruga met its gaze. Cute, he said, and charged. The air cracked. Their ears bled. The spear was thrown with such force that the trees bowed. It struck the giant's chest, didn't pierce. The beast grabbed it and roared. Then Maruga teleported. From midair to the beast's shoulder, spinning in a blur, all 12 arms striking in synchronization. Light exploded. The giant staggered, then reached for the sky, only to find a peacock claw tearing through its throat. It fell backward in slow motion, crashing through ancient trees like falling towers. Silence followed. Only the wind whispered. Maruga stood atop the body, breathing. The battlefield was littered with ash, melted bones, and silence. His faces gradually merged into one again. He looked down at the humans. See? He said, grinning. Not bad for a kid. Johannes tried to laugh, but only managed a wheeze. Else wiped soot from her brow. That was... Maruga raised a finger. Epic? Cinematic? Worthy of a Netflix budget? Bastian chuckled, leaning on a broken shield. You're insane! I'm divine, Maruga corrected. It's a different brand of crazy. As the dust settled, Maruga walked toward them, holding a scroll of golden light. He handed it to Else. This is your map now. It leads to the place where gods wait and asuras listen. You'll need to survive long enough to speak the ending chant. And if we don't? Asked Johannes. Maruga turned, silhouetted by the setting firelight and rising smoke. Then the forest forgets you ever came. He mounted his peacock and vanished in a flash of blue flame. Only a single feather remained, fluttering down to the burnt ground. Would you like Chapter 13 to be a journey into the Yuddha Mandala, Battlefield of Realms, or a slower chapter where they regroup and meet another deity?